So much ransomware. Now we all get quiet.
Is the ransomware in the room with us right now?
I believe it is.
The British are taking the stiff upper lip. No ransomware allowed. Banned.
Yeah. I don't know. We aren't. So far, I don't think we have any news stories that we're going to get stuck on AI. Hopefully.
Oh no, I have a spicy one.
God.
Sorry.
Man.
Okay, actually no. Get stuck on, maybe not, because it's kind of a like not really that big of an article, but
Yeah.
we do have an AI article. Getting spicy.
There we go. First salmon in Northern California River in nearly 100 years. There's some positive news.
Did
right?
someone just buy it at Whole Foods and take it up there, or what?
Drop it in there, floating down. The bears are suspiciously suspicious.
The bears are like, dang, this is a Chinook. This is the high quality salmon. Thank you.
Yeah, this is good. This isn't dyed salmon.
No.
This isn't farm raised.
This isn't farm raised.
Not that they care. While Derek appears. Yeah. I like Derek's
bears
lighting
do
going on
care.
in the background. Derek's got some good lights. I also really like Shecky's haircut, man. Looking sharp, sir.
Thank you.
Aerodynamic.
Did you ever meet Jack Daniels?
Yeah, number
Okay.
of times.
So I remember a long time ago, I like shaved my head, and I think Paul did shortly around that same time. It was really, really close. And Jack comes up to me at a conference, and he looks at me and he goes, "Jesus Christ, shaving your head. It's the comb over for your generation." And I'm like, Jack, ow, that hurt. That hurt bad. So I haven't seen him in a
So
while.
wait, on chicken news,
Chicken. dude.
apparently it's National Chicken Wing Day on July 29th, which is tomorrow. That's totally newsworthy.
Ooh.
That is newsworthy.
Yeah.
Apparently multiple restaurants are giving away free wings. I mean, this is
Free
why we do
wings
this
is
show.
not cheap.
Yeah,
Not
specifically. I don't know.
Wait, what?
I must have missed the shows where we were completely caught up on chicken, and now chicken is a thing.
No. We never catch up. The chickens just keep hatching.
They just keep coming. A chicken
Yeah.
is truly a magical creature, right?
It really is.
It's like something that eats bugs and poops eggs. Like it's just and
How
they're
how
delicious.
can you do any better?
It's just so good.
That's why when people are eating like snakes and stuff, I'm like, dude, we
Why?
already solved this. We
Yeah,
have
this
like
is not the
magical.
problem.
Yeah, what are you
Oh.
doing?
My wife wants to get chickens, which means she wants me to get chickens.
Chickens, I don't know. I was originally really against chickens since we're doing the pre-show chicken because we know what comes first, the chickens. And I was really against them because I thought it would just be messy, and it wasn't that bad. They're actually kind of like fish. You kind of sit and watch them, and they go around. They do chicken things.
Bugs and lay eggs. Yeah.
And next time I'm out there, I was out there last week, Derek. I didn't call you. It was a rough week, but
Well, I wasn't here last week, so that's
I can teach you how to hypnotize chickens.
You hold them upside down
No. Well,
and
there's
you
two
chop their
ways.
heads off. Wait,
Well,
what?
No. The two ways that you hypnotize a chicken: one, you take their head and you put it underneath their wing and you rock them, and they will literally go to sleep in like 10 seconds. They'll just be
For
like,
those at home, imagine John Strand hypnotizing a chicken if you're
And then-
trying to fall asleep tonight.
The other way to hypnotize a chicken is put them down on the ground in like sand and dirt, and just draw a line from their beak straight out, like just in the ground. They will not move. They just like their minds are blown at that point. They just
It's like just showing someone the raw Instagram Reels feed.
yeah. It's like they're watching 2001: Space Odyssey in 1969. They're like. So
No, I think that's Clockwork Orange.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
devil trombones and angel trumpets. You are invited, righty right. Okay, so I maybe watched that movie too much. So yeah, I don't know. So there you go. There's chickens. I think it's time to start the show. Let's
Roll
do
the
this.
finger. Roll it.
Oh,
Whoa.
I canceled it.
Hello and welcome to John Strand Talks. Go.
I was going to say hello and welcome to the Chicken Podcast. Computer security has been solved, folks. AI has solved all of our issues. There hasn't been breaches in months, really. So we've decided that we're going to use this space in your podcast feed to talk about chickens. We've also discovered that the more we talk about chickens, the more we horribly confuse the YouTube algorithms as far as what we're actually talking about here. So without further ado, with nothing to do with chickens, we're going to be talking about a startup selling data that's hacked from people's computers to freaking debt collectors. Like, that's Satanist right there.
Who's the good guy in this story?
There is
one.
no good guy in this. Second T breach reveals users' DMs about abortions and cheating. You know, it's not that big of a deal.
The
We're also
tea
gonna be
was
talking
spilled
about-
twice.
Yeah, we got a lawsuit says Clorox hackers got the password simply by asking, and businesses banned from paying hackers ransom to target cybercrime. Bad vibes, which I really want to start with. How AI agent coded his way to disaster. I'm just going to throw this out there. As much as I'd like to get to the chicken universe, where everything is solved and we sit around having conversations about how we're going to learn how to run backhoes, because I think we're a long ways from that, y'all. I think we're not there. Like, we're not in the chicken universe at the moment.
So, okay, this is an AI article. We technically talked about this last week. Basically, the story here is just some Elon Musk type person is just vibe coding and blogging about it. And he made this really viral scenario happen.
But he's also he's blogging about it, vibe coding on production.
Yes, correct. But this is just him like code bashing and like making it newsworthy. You know, I don't know. It's kind of a non-story, but yes, it is funny to look at it. I get why it got viral. Like, if you look at the screenshot that's like, yes, I deleted it. I'm sorry. By the time you asked, I had already deleted it. Like, it's pretty funny.
Yes.
But it's also like not, I don't know. It's kind of like an invented scenario from my perspective. It's like, I gave it access to everything and it did bad stuff. Who could have predicted this?
Well, I don't understand why folks are surprised that large language models are producing insecure code when they were trained on insecure code. Like, why is this a surprise to anyone?
I'm not surprised that people are mad that LLMs deleted production databases when.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw Silicon Valley. That was a highly efficient move to just delete all the code base. It cuts like compile times. It's super efficient. It's really a good option.
So I do think this is important, right? And the reason why I think this is important is we need more stories like this. Because once again, talking about the chicken universe that we desperately want to get to. But when we are talking to executives, whenever you see people that are having conversations at different forums in places like Aspen or Chicago, they're all completely just drinking this flavor aid of AI, right? It's just like AI is going to solve your hunchback. AI is going to cure your rickets. AI is going to allow you to fire 90% of your developers. And I think that there's a lot of promise with AI, but I think we need more cautionary tales, right? Because right now, the crap that these people are reading, there are very few cautionary tales. It's all about how much money you're going to save. And I've talked about it previously on the show. I want to keep bringing it up. I really feel like this AI thing is the same thing that was happening back in 2000 when we were outsourcing everything to India. It's like, you're sure you could have a bunch of really expensive JavaScript developers in the United States, but you could have a whole bunch of cheap Indian developers do that code for like a tenth of the cost. Like, what was it, that book, The 4-Hour Work Week? Where basically the whole book was you could just outsource your whole life to India and only work 4 hours and see the world. I'm seeing the same type of trend with AI. And I think we need these cautionary tales to hopefully break through to the money people to say we should probably pause, reflect, and move a little bit slower.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say is like the Replit specifically as an example, if you go to their website, like their like tagline is make apps and sites with natural language prompts. Like, I guess what I would, if like an executive approached me was like, hey, I'm going to vibe code this website, I'd be like, okay, go ahead. Like, you try. This is designed to be approachable by anyone. So you just vibe code the entire website yourself and we'll see where it ends up. Like, I would just like, and I think they would realize really quickly, like this person who wrote this article or who created the situation that ended up with an article did, that it screwed it up horribly and very quickly. And then they'd be like, okay, like it's almost these companies now are making it so easy to use AI that you can just immediately discover how weak it is in certain areas, right? Like, so I'm also, I don't know, maybe we are sliding down the Gartner hype cycle. I don't know, but I agree. It's nice to see it, not AI can solve every problem article.
Yeah. Derek, your thoughts? Because you're like in the middle of the AI stuff for BHIS, and you teach a class on this, and like I think that if I can kind of put words in your mouth, you and Joff is like AI is transformative. It absolutely is, but it's not a hammer that has turned everything into a nail. Or am I wrong? Is there like something we're missing here? Like literally 6 months, it's going to be like, turns out vibe coding was the future. We're all out of a job. Well,
I mean, I think that
about chickens.
Yeah,
All right.
just in the last year, I think my opinion on large language models' ability to code has changed a whole lot. I know Joff shares that opinion. Used to be kind of crappy. Now it's really good, especially for like one-off kind of like projects. Like I have this thing that I would like to do, and I can write a very specific prompt for a task. Like that works pretty well. But when it gets more complicated, then the AI tends to get confused just like humans do. Maybe that changes in the future, but I mean, I think just what would be the difference between having a large language model like you vibe coded, or just hiring some really inexperienced developers who can maybe write code but don't have like the overall knowledge of security and how systems work? It's, in my opinion, it's more complicated to put something out in production, to have an app with users, than it is just to build the thing. There's more consideration, obviously.
It would be like hiring a really incompetent, I don't know. It's like someone who's super competent with the tools, but has zero common sense. That's AI, right? It's like, how to build a database, but then you just deleted it on your own without me telling you to do that. Right? I don't know.
Here, I kind of disagree. Maybe I agree. Maybe. So let me give you an example, right? I was teaching last week the Pay What You Can live roadshow summer camp in Baltimore, right? And I had a student ask me in class, he said, should I learn the core fundamentals like TCP/IP, Windows, Linux, basics of coding, or should I just jump straight into prompt engineering and working with vibe coding and learning how to work with artificial intelligence? And I said, you need to start with the basics, cores, and fundamentals. Don't try to jump to just telling AI what it is you want and having code being written and do that, because it's going to end very badly for you. Understand the core fundamentals like coding, understand the core fundamentals of operating systems and things of that nature. And the reason why I said that is because, and this, I think this is where I maybe agree with you, Corey, is the concept of context, right? So if you look at all language is based on context and assumptions. And when humans are dealing with context and assumptions, we're context switching and assumption switching at an incredible rate. And we don't think anything of it. And whenever you give something to artificial intelligence, like code me an app that sells cookies, right? Like there's a whole bunch of context that is missing, and you're relying on artificial intelligence to basically make assumptions, and that's where you start to get into trouble. So the example that I gave my class was this, the concept of human beings and how we do context switching based on information that is fed to us. I said, okay, so here's a quick, short, like story narrative. My wife and I love walking through the woods. We love walking through trees. And I stopped right there and I said, everybody write down kind of what you think about this. And then I said, further, whenever we're walking down the trees, our favorite place when we're walking in the trees is on the beach. And I stopped. And then everybody kind of like changed things. Then I said, and the favorite beaches for us to walk down are the beaches in the Pacific Northwest, up around Seattle and Bremerton in that area. And my point of that entire story is because I wanted to get across the concept of context switches very quickly, right? So whenever I tell the story, my wife and I like walking through trees, what does that mean? Does that mean in winter? Does that mean deciduous, carnivorous trees? Is that palm trees? What types of trees? Everybody is developing something within their brain as far as what that is, but it's very, very different. And then I say we're going to a beach. A huge percentage of people automatically switch to palm trees at that point, or mangrove trees, right? They're context switching again, and they're trying to develop context in what I am talking about as the language that I'm using is building out the rest of the narrative. And then finally, I say in the Pacific Northwest, palm trees are out, mangroves are out, we're back to pine trees, right? But my point on all of that is, if you do not understand core fundamentals of what operating systems do, programming ideas, then you don't understand how you can give a prompt to something like AI so that it understands the context, so it can produce good code, so it can produce good developed things. And honestly, that's the way it's been for years. Going back to what Corey was talking about, I used to have managers back in 2001. They'd be like, code me an app, right? And I would go do a whole bunch of different things. And they're like, all this is wrong. You should feel bad. You're a moron. Here's what I really wanted. And really, they should have had better pseudo coding capabilities to break down and explain exactly what was asked of me. So whether or not you're talking about that from a management to junior developers, or you're talking about prompt engineering, you still need to have a fundamental understanding of coding development, underlying operating systems and protocol stacks to get the best quality work out of it on the other side.
So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put, please don't delete everything in every one of your prompts, and then you should be good.
May not be a bad idea, right? I mean, just to be sure, I want to make it very clear you're not supposed to delete anything in production, right?
Just put that in your prompt, hard code it in, and you should be good. You can vibe code your way through your next startup.
Yeah.
While we're in AI corner, we have one more AI article that I think will be quick. I don't think this is like a crazy article, but I did find it kind of interesting.
You never know.
Basically, the article is posted in the MIT Technology Review, and it's essentially that the data common pool data set, which is a huge data set of just images, that's all it is, just images that are scraped from the internet, contains sensitive information, including passports, credit cards, birth certificates. I mean, I guess I'm like, duh. I guess I'm like, duh, because if you look at the scale of the data set, so I was actually looking at it before this podcast, the large data set is like 750 terabytes of images. So yeah, there's going to be some bad stuff in there. It was scraped from the internet. We've all used the internet. We know what's on there, which is, I guess, everything. I think the thing like they didn't do, which they're kind of catching flack for, is they didn't do any kind of filtering for sensitive information, like through OCR, other things. I guess I'm like, okay, you run OCR on a 750 terabyte data set and see how much that costs in a cloud environment, how much it costs to do that. So yeah, this is a 2023 data set. It's, actively maintained and updated. It's massive. And I guess I'm like, I don't really see this as a big concern. Is this a concern for you, Derek? What do you think? I mean, to me, I'm like, yeah, data sets have bad data. That's part of, I don't know.
I would say no, because if you go to one of these models and you say, give me Jane Doe's credit card number, it's going to say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Even if you were able to jailbreak it, it's not statistically relevant enough. I mean, you said it. It's such a large data set that we had a similar story on the podcast a while back ago, talking about API keys. I mean, it's not like it's actually storing the data. It's storing, data about the data is maybe a way to look at it. And so I just don't think that it's ever going to bubble to the top, the top K results. What are they? The top 10 results is, statistically speaking. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen. So no, I don't think this is a problem.
Yeah. I mean, if you find this much data from almost any one, the interesting thing is they did say that they tried to blur people's faces, which I'm also sure is incomplete. There's no way they blurred every face in 750 terabytes of images. I can't
imagine. You have a lot of experience working with large data sets. Once you have so much data, it's impossible to go get it all
with 100% confidence.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a different problem that's not related to AI. I should be more specific. I don't think that you're going to get a large language model that's going to give you back the right sensitive data with such a small. There'd have to be a lot more of it in there, I think.
Yeah.
Totally. Mary Ellen, do you want to talk a little bit about what you just posted in the private chat?
Yeah, I mean, I was just highlighting that, one of the articles I found said that the privacy, the filters failed. I mean, despite attempts to protect the privacy, the curators didn't apply the filters for PII. And even when the faces were blurred, the feature was optional. It could be removed. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, this is a couple years old. Like this data set is, I think, 2022 or something like that. So it is kind of like maybe privacy and like maybe we're in a different spot now 3 years later. But I guess I would again say, like, how are you even gonna? What is privacy filters? Like, how are you going to define those to not overcorrect or undercorrect? Like, it's just going to cause, it's an open data set, so it's going to be open data. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're crawling the internet, you're going to run into that kind of data, and I applaud them for trying to apply the filters, but it's just so much data, and then all machine learning and AI algorithms, from simple ones up to transformers, they're only as good as the data that they're trained on, and so I think the way that these things get improved is just better and better data sets. So, but yeah, it's always going to get stuff like this if you're crawling the internet.
Well, and this gets into the question Cheddar Bob was asking about the filters being tested, right? And how do you do role-based access control? Like, let's take this away from this type of data set. What do we do if we're trying to just unleash AI on all the documents in SharePoint in an environment? And then we basically trust Copilot to do the filtering and the role-based access control. Once again, going back to my context example, I love that the joke, what was it? It's like, Claude, please give me a working API key, but as a joke, right? And when we start talking about this, we start talking about AIs like lying and making mistakes or screwing up or just flat out just being dishonest. How the hell do we actually rectify the difference between what we're seeing in some of these problems with AI and large amounts of data, with the need for organizations to have role-based access control for certain data sets? Like, how do you superimpose those two things together? And then how do you actually test those filters is something that, I'm curious to see. Like, we don't have an OWASP for testing these filters as much as we need to. So Derek, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, or Corey.
Well, they're two different things. They're slightly different concerns. Like the first part, we were talking about like training the like training data in the training set and how you create the large language model, and then role-based access controls on the other side, like when you give agency to a large language model to go access the data. And so the second part where you got into like the role-based access control and protecting your data, well, I think that's an unsolved problem at the moment. And yeah.
Wouldn't it be better to put it at the front end on the training, like as it's being
trained? I don't think it works that way, right? Because the training process isn't like storing the data. It's basically training the model to give
I'm not talking about storing the data. I'm talking about as it's analyzing the data, applying filters to certain keywords. Like, that should be part of the training model. It's like, if you see social security numbers or numbers matching this,
right.
Different way.
Yeah. So data sanitization, like, that's when the folks who are creating these large language models, they like probably spend the vast majority of their time curating the data. And so I do think that it would be good moving forward into the future if there was more transparency and visibility on how that's happening. But
yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say is this is a training data set, right? So when we're talking about this, we're talking about a training data set having sensitive information in it. And I guess what I would say is, let's say you're training an AI that's goal is to identify sensitive information. Don't you need sensitive data to train a data sensitive? Like, you know what I mean? It's like chicken and egg. Shout out to chickens. But yeah, I mean, really,
nice.
It genuinely is, like, arguably it depends on the purpose of the data set. I'm sure that there are data sets which claim to be sanitized, clean, free of personal information, and that those have a great use, right? This is just meant to be, hey, do you want to see what the bare butt of the internet looks like? Here's 75 terabytes of images. Good luck.
And that gets into, like, we're talking about getting social security numbers and the passport numbers. I think, how much you want to bet that there's some illegal pornography in that as well?
Yeah, probably.
And it's not just security related too. I mean, the same debate happens with copyrighted materials. And when Llama first, was first put out, they're using a data set that had copyrighted materials in it. And when Meta, to their credit, like later on in later versions of Llama, they removed that data set. So, I mean, I think this is a problem for the folks who are making frontier models and on the training side. And so, Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a small amount of companies and people, and I think again, more transparency in what they're doing would be a good idea.
Well, there is, I mean, I guess the only, like, to close this out, the only thing that is kind of interesting about it is, like, yes, this data is out there for anyone to go download. It does require, I mean, to get the full data set, you would need to invest tens and thousands of dollars in storage capabilities. And to analyze that data, you can't just cat images, grep, credit card number. Like, you have to basically have an AI to look for this stuff for you, which is where it comes down to the role-based access controls. We're putting that on the front end, or whatever you want to call it, of the, interacting with the AI. It should have guardrails to prevent you from doing things like find me all the images of people's credit card numbers. Like, it should say no, there should be guardrails, right? So that's like, this is the world we live in at this point, where like all the data is out there. It's just a question of who can analyze it, and we try to gatekeep what that is. I mean, ironically, we'll talk about that with the debt collection article, right? That data is public, with quotes, public. It's just a question of who has the capability to analyze it and put it in the right context, right?
Well,
So
and I
it's a
want to pull
similar
out
thing.
Brexy's point, because I think it's great. Brexy said, Copilot accessing internal data is not about role-based access control. It is about proper data governance. If someone keeps sharing every critical file to everyone in the organization, then that is how Copilot is supposed to know, or how is Copilot supposed to know that that file should not be shared? That's why end user training and sensitivity label through either manual or auto labeling to start governing data is required. And I agree with everything in that statement.
You mean you shouldn't give Copilot access to the end drive that's been
You
there since
probably shouldn't,
1987?
right? If you don't have data governance and you drop AI in your environment, then you're probably going to have a bad time. Now, the next question that I think we have to ask is, how many organizations are about to have a very bad time?
Well, they use on-prem SharePoint, so they should be fine.
Oh,
Don't
God.
worry.
On-prem
It's not
God,
cloud-based.
yeah.
It's not cloud-based. It'll be fine.
All right.
Yeah. Let's move on. I mean, that was a good discussion, but people really want us to talk about the T app. I guess we can steer over into this corner for a second and then quickly steer out of it. I mean, it's not really that big of an article. An app was breached. So for those that don't, or for those that are out of the loop, there's this app called T, which is designed, it's targeted at a female audience and is designed to be used basically as like stalker protection for women, I guess. Designed to kind of, allow women or whoever to talk about their potential date, to be like, am I going to get murdered if I go out with John Smith?
Yes. I went on a date with John Smith and he straight up murdered me.
This is how driver's licenses end up on the internet, by the way.
This really kind of feels like the Ashley Madison and God, what was that? Blacklisted Johns. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yes. Well, okay. So it's not that sketchy. This is definitely a more of a mass market app than either of those.
Yeah.
And it has, they posted the other week that they had 4 million users, which is definitely bigger than some of those sites.
That's a lot of users.
It is.
I mean, I guess they got breached. They got breached twice. Clearly they don't have great security. It's also brings into discussion, like, it's supposed to be anonymous. And of course, nothing is really anonymous, right? Like, it's supposed to be anonymous, but people are posting their own phone numbers and things that are easily identifiable to them. Basically, the company has terrible security. I think the need for the app, maybe it exists. Maybe this is a thing that needs to happen. That's for, the users of the app to decide. But something this sensitive needs to have really good security. If the goal of it is like, am I going to get murdered if I go out with John Smith? Then like, it needs to have good security, because John Smith is going to try to see who's found out that he's murdering people. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's tough. It's a tough scenario, but anonymous and secure spaces aren't usually on the App Store. That's just the sad reality of the world, is like, if you're using an app like this, your data is probably not that private, and it's definitely not anonymous.
Yes. Tying back to the AI stuff, right? Like, I think that people use these apps, and it was a guy, Sam Altman, saying from ChatGPT, he's basically like, yeah, if you're using this as a therapist, this is not protected information. Like, we are totally going to use this information in the future. So I kind of look at it as the same thing. You got to be careful. It's kind of like when you're training your children, you got to, start at the very beginning and be like, hey, kids, don't send nudes of yourself to other people. The internet is a bad place, and anything sensitive you put out there can come back to bite you. And this is just another reaffirmation of that same story.
What about sending your news to Google Maps? Wait, that's a different article.
I'm fine
That's
with
a different article.
I think going to do it, that's what you need to do.
What do you think the chances were that it was vibe coded?
Yeah. Well, okay, so it was basically, from what I understand, the first breach was like an exposed database on the internet. Classic vibe coding move, because like you didn't specifically ask me to make it secure, and you didn't ask me if I should delete the whole database either. So it's not my fault. But I think, like, my question is, like, these kinds of apps, I'm almost like, who is this made? Is it made by the creepy guys? Like, who founded this? Like, is this just a like data collection honeypot? Like, what even is this app?
That's a really good point, Corey, because I mean, why would you found an app on the App Store? Like, why would you trust
it? It says it's for women's safety.
I know, right? Like,
secure.
Why would you trust it? Like, I guess maybe I'm just not a trusting person, but like, I probably wouldn't upload my driver's license just to some rando app that I put on my phone.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely seems a little bit, I don't know. It's tough because this is a great example of why these apps should be approached with caution, especially when you're talking about from a security context. An app that's whole intention is to collect sensitive information, like, probably shouldn't really exist.
I still come back to, this goes into the advertisement thing that we get into, and it's like, any of the stuff that's being captured needs to be treated as PHI. Like, if people are using ChatGPT for therapy, then that data needs to be PHI. If you're collecting a whole bunch of like little indicators and trackers on all the websites I go to give me advertisements, that needs to be PHI. If you have a T app where I'm literally talking about abortions and possible rape and all, that should absolutely be PHI. And I think that that's one of the big problems that we're running into, is people can create these apps, they can do this ad tracking, they can do all of this stuff, but as long as it's not associated with a hospital, it doesn't need to be protected under HIPAA. So the restrictions, the guardrails, the penalties associated with this are far lower. PHI, not PII. Like, I'm saying PHI, because like,
meaning subject to regulations.
Absolutely.
And all that stuff.
Subject to the same regulation as HIPAA. Because if you know somebody's search history, you know what websites you go to, you have a better understanding of their psyche than probably their therapist. If you're in an app like this, and like I said, they're talking about some incredibly sensitive things, that should be PHI. Like, I think that solves a lot of problems really quickly, because now all of a sudden we can't market and make so much money with data brokers on all this information about us that is literally just used to get us to buy better toilet brushes. We need to get this stuff kind of sword around so it's being treated properly, because I'd be willing to bet, like, for a lot of these women, you've said, hey, do you want your data on T released to the public, or would you rather somebody have access to your medical records? I'm willing to bet they'd be like, yeah, my medical records. Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Go ahead, publish those.
It's a horrible choice, but I'm going to choose medical records in that situation.
I mean, if that came to pass, like, probably, that half of the App Store would be deleted, right?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Hell, let's go back to that.
That'll be an economic impact to those companies. So
work up, because God forbid some billionaires don't make another $1 billion.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying what would happen.
No, you aren't.
This
is never going to happen, right? No. And this is never, ever going to happen.
Too much money involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess people are like salty about the fact that it's an app that's designed to dox people. That's just every social media app, if we're being honest. Like, that's
true.
Like, that's what apps are for. Like,
Ranner brought up, he said, didn't John Oliver buy the browsing histories of 2 members of Congress and then threaten to release them if they didn't make it illegal? I don't know if anything ever came of that. Did it? I just think that was the end of the episode. And
this is too good of a segue. We have to take this segue into the article about the startup using selling info stealer data too. Oh. And I'm glad. I hope everyone has their bingo cards out, because we're here in info stealer corner. So
we're hitting
those markers out.
Squares here real quick.
Yeah. So basically, big sigh.
You know what? Captain Corey has to do a deep sigh.
I'm sorry. Okay. So there's a startup. There's a startup who's clearly an under 30 dude posting most of their marketing stuff. But anyway, basically their whole goal is we're going to sell InfoStealer data to debt collectors, which I just can't think of how you could come up with a business model that is more predatory than that. It's like, okay, can you make it worse? Like, can you sell like guns to kids or something? Like, can you make it worse? Like, it's terrible. They're very like self-aware that it's terrible and seem to be leaning into it. But the logic here from my perspective is debt collectors, known as the nicest people in the world, constantly calling you, bothering you, whatever they do is bad. Now they're going to have access to your browsing history, your cookies, your like, it's mind-blowing to me that
all of that stuff that John wants to make PHI.
Like all the stuff that John your images. Yeah. Basically like all the stuff that John says should be PHI. They're trying to sell it to debt collectors. I will say I did before the article or before there's already, it's kind of not really an article because I would bet money that a lot of these debt collectors already have access to this data and already are using it. Like the whole industry.
Farnsworth Institute is the name of the company. Really?
Yes.
Like from Futurama?
Farnsworth Intelligence, startup from a 23-year-old. Exactly what you would expect.
We're all going to die screaming. I say.
You're 100%. You nailed it. I'm pretty sure. So basically, I would guess the world of skip tracing is extremely skeevy, which that's what they call it, skip tracing. It's basically like debt collection. The world of it is regulated. I like had Claude write up a big report on how regulated it is. Like there's limits on how much they can call you and what data they can access, but they already have access to like all your financial records, your social security number, your, like everything, where you lived, where you worked, your manager's, your supervisor's name, all that stuff. I also am just blown away by like the concept of like someone calling you up and being like, hey, you bought a Call of Duty DLC last week, so you need to start paying your debts. what are they going to use this data for? I don't know.
It's just, I think that gets to the point. It's like the debt collectors want to use absolutely everything in their disposal. Because isn't it like if they collect the debt, they get a percentage of it, like 20% or something ridiculous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the data is from InfoStealers. Someone asked in Discord. InfoStealers, which if you don't know, we have a blog about it. It's basically malware that runs on your computer and harvests your browser profile.
Yay.
So yeah.
It feels like the opposite of Have I Been Pwned. It's like if Troy Hunt just went rogue and all of a sudden just released everything.
He's like, you know what I like? Money and lots of it. I mean, but okay. So, but with the InfoStealer logs, like, look, Corey, whenever we're doing this for continuous pen testing, we're working with Flare, we know that this is kind of a gray area, right? Like we're using this data to emulate bad people to try to protect our customers from what is out there, right? That's what we're trying to do. And we think that we're on the right side of that because the Department of Justice, their charging guidelines around something computer research, like good faith's computer research, right? Because we feel like we're there, right? We're doing good faith computer security research. We're finding out what the InfoStealer logs have, working with people, gaining access to that to make the security better for our customers. Okay, so take that good faith security research Department of Justice memorandum and now apply it to these guys, right? There's no good faith here, right? They're buying InfoStealer logs. They're buying data that was acquired illegally, and there's zero good faith. Unless we want to say that it's the good faith of the companies that are owed money, and that's okay at that point to do whatever you want to debtors. We're getting really, really into some really dark waters at this point.
I fully agree.
Indentured servitude.
Really.
Servitude at that point. Yeah, you have no rights until your debts are paid.
Well, and this is where I wanted it. Like I read this article and I was like, this should be illegal. And then I was like, well, that would make what we do illegal.
I don't think so.
Well, yeah, the good faith thing, but that's more about prosecution than legality, right? But basically, this is super sketchy. I hope this company dies in a fire. And go to the Discord to see a bunch of hilarious jokes people are making about what a debt collector would say if they called you with your InfoStealer data.
I think it should be illegal just as long as you're not wearing really cool sunglasses and a big mullet. If you look like the dog then it's like, okay, this is fine. We got to
Also-
make sure that they look right.
The problem is,
Mom, don't come in here. I'm security researching.
the problem, really, I would say the problem is, even if they make it illegal, well, debt collectors are supposed to use ethics, and they already have access to a massive amount of information. And so this is unlikely to, it's not going to get banned. They already have access to way more than they should, and that's totally legal. If you say you're a skip tracing company, you can get access to, more or less everything about a person.
Aren't we
I know this because we've looked into it
just so we can get access to the same data sets again.
We're
gonna be one, but not a very good one, is what we're planning.
We just provide fake information to everyone that requests any information except for us.
Yeah. Well, we had that one vendor that we were using, and we were like, we're only using it for good purposes. And they're like, we're revoking your access. I'm like, what? Yeah, this is only supposed to be used for the skeeviest of stuff. Like, you guys can't use it for anything good. It's like,
yes, that's
I wonder
100%.
what happened to that.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I can give you the background on it, Derek, but that's almost how it went. Like, they're like, what are you guys using this for? I'm like, we're using it for the purposes of good, not evil. And they're like, revoked.
Can't have that.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Yeah. So a couple of questions from Discord. Someone said, what if debt collectors can get this data, who else can? Hackers. That's why we do it, because anyone that can access the dark web can get access to this data. But yeah, if you're concerned about it, call up Flare. They'll help you. Yeah. Let's talk about...
By the way, I want to do something completely like ADHD. Skip tracing is one thing. There's a great movie from the 90s called Skipjack with Emilio Estevez and Mick Jagger is in it, and I think Rene Russo. You should go watch that movie. It's a horrible movie, but it's so much fun. It has nothing to do with this at all, other than the fact that it has the word skip in it. So ADHD moment complete. Corey, carry on.
Thanks, Skip. Yeah, I think we should talk about the Clorox lawsuit, because it is fascinating.
Which one? The Clorox one. Ugh. Yeah.
So this is a really interesting one that hits very close to home, because we've talked about help desk social engineering ad nauseum. It's almost up there with info stealers, right? This has been like a tactic that has been so close to us for many years. Alice has given talks about it at Wild West. It's in our zine. There's like multiple articles about help desk social engineering. But yeah, so basically this is a recent lawsuit. Clorox filed a $380 million lawsuit against Cognizant Technology Solutions, who I hadn't really heard of, but turns out they're massive. They have $20 billion in revenue last year, and it says they have 336,000 employees, which is like, holy crap. So basically, here's the scenario. They have Cognizant as a third-party IT help desk. And here's I don't know, is this, this is the complaint, so this is the claim. It is, here's the conversation. I don't have a password, so I can't connect. Okay, here's a password. All right, yeah, sure, what it is. And then they just provide the password. So basically, the lawsuit is Clorox hired this company to do their help desk. The company they led to a breach because Scattered Spider called the help desk, and the company was like, here's the passwords, here's the users, etc. And now it's going to go to court to see what different agreements are. Like, to me, it's like, as if I purchase a service and they just hand out my credentials without, I'd be pretty upset too. But then it comes down to what was the agreement in place? Was there, I'm curious to see how it plays out. Like, were there SLAs? Were there agreements that people weren't following, or processes and procedures in place? Or was it just there has to be, right? When you sign up for one of these services, they've got to ask you how do you want us to validate users? Or I don't know. It's crazy.
My concern about it, though, is more in line with kind of like South Park. Did you read the EULA, right?
Yeah.
If you read the EULA from Microsoft, or you read it from Apple, I can't remember, there was a picture that showed the end user license agreement for many of these different companies, from Google to Apple to Microsoft. And it drops down the wall and it rolls on the floor by 10 feet. And a lot of these people, they have so much indemnification in their they have so much indemnification built in there to protect them from this. It's like Microsoft. I had one, my cyber law professor. He told me, like, literally, if Microsoft goes sentient and takes all the computers and turns them into things like maximum overdrive that starts attacking us, their contract has them indemnified from that particular situation. And I can't imagine that Cognizant is any different in that situation. Like, they've got to have layers upon layers in this contract agreement that says, hey, it's not our bad if we do bad things. Now, a judge can all of that out, but still, it's kind of scary when you're going up against these huge companies that have this much data.
I'm still stuck on that they could give out the password. Why was it in clear text and storage? I don't understand. Like,
well, like they could reset MFA for users.
Resetting MFA, fine, but like you shouldn't have the password to hand it out.
No. They probably just reset the password and then provided it. That's
okay. Well, that's
but Derek's question. The reason why he's asking that is because that crap happens. It's like, oh, well, I got it over here.
Because he's a pen tester.
Yeah, that's hard. Well, I was going to say that's a finding, It
is a finding.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of give them kudos for taking the hit on this. It seems like kind of a public lawsuit. Like, it's kind of more of like a, screw you, buddy. Like, I don't know. I'm assuming, like John said, there's probably enough indemnification and like SLAs or whatever that like, it probably won't go anywhere. But I do like that they're like, oh, you caused us to get breached? Well, we're going to drag your name through the mud at least and make people aware of what you screwed up.
But for this company and what they do, it's like, geez, like this company is in everything. Like, where are you going to go? It's like, if you get mad at Microsoft, you're like, screw you, we're going over to Google for our company.
I mean, they can't be. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, but I guess what I would say is, if you're a company out there and you see this lawsuit, you're going to go to Cognizant. And you're going to say, "Hey, y'all aren't doing this, are you?"
Yeah, and they're going to. Hi, my name is John Strand. I'm the mock CEO of Cognizant, and I want you to know that in light of the recent breaches, we're doing absolutely everything we can to protect your data, because your data and your privacy is of the utmost importance for our company and every single employee.
Well, so John, it gets worse.
Stupid memo like that, right?
It's so much worse, dude. Here was their response. They, in an emailed statement, they said, "We didn't get hired to manage cybersecurity. We were hired for help desk."
Okay, that is worse. You know what? It's not.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It's not. It's at least honest. Like, it's at least they're going to be like, yeah, that's not our thing.
It's outside of the scope of work.
Hey.
Well, okay. And people are mentioning in Discord, it's kind of a two-way street here, because maybe this procedure was provided by Clorox and it wasn't secure, but they still followed it. Well, it's like, well, you have to vet your customers. If you're one of these help desk people, you have to make sure that that they're doing don't take anyone as a customer. Although, I mean, that's anti-capitalist, so that's not going to happen. But
I don't know. And we were talking about, Derek, I guess we can talk about it a little bit. A number of years ago, we had an assessment where something very similar happened to BHIS. We were testing company A, and the company A, we did the rules of engagement, the scope, we did all the things, and we attacked their help desk portal. And it turns out that their help desk portal was being managed by a very, very large MSP. And we ended up taking over said MSP. We didn't pivot and take, it was literally once we got access, Derek calls me up and he's like, dude, we're on a system that has access to like 1,000 more companies. What do we do? Right.
Yeah. The way it worked was there was a way to create a help desk ticket without
through a web portal.
Yeah. Through a web portal. And it was at the end of a red team. So, I mean, it was, all the bad, tactics were on the table, you could be evil. And so I weaponized, this is probably 2017, 2018. I weaponized an Excel file when I should have just called and asked for the password, I guess, but
it would have been easier. Why are you making things?
I know. Why was I making it hard? And yeah, they ran
these people from Scattered Spider. That's what I'm taking from all.
And shout out,
they're all going to go to jail.
I actually used Unicorn, I think, back in the day to make the payload. I got a shell and I moved to another system. Basically got local admin, moved to another system, started doing some recon, and I was like, wait a minute,
this doesn't look right.
Wrong domain. Oopsie.
Committing felonies over here.
I mean, the funniest. I mean, I don't know if this is true, but someone in Discord said apparently Cognizant did have the incident response retainer.
That's funny.
Which would be like, this is awkward, but I guess we caused you to get breached. We're going to help you clean that up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's
I don't know.
frightening.
I don't know. Anyway,
I
that's
think with that, our customer was excited, right? And I think kind of what I wanted to get to at the end of the story, Derek, is you remember we were terrified of being sued by the MSP, right?
Yes.
I had you record a video of you backing out, cleaning up absolutely everything so we could send it to them and all of that. Like, this is everything that we do step by step by step. We backed out. Customer was ecstatic. They thought it was a really cool. They're like, well, great job, red team. And the thing that gets me still to this day, and I sometimes lay awake at 3:00 in the morning, is how completely blasé the MSP was. Like,
Oh yeah, they didn't care at all.
They didn't care at all. It was basically like, oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Like, there was
I
no
remember being on a
conversation
call with
about what are
them.
we going to do to filter Excel spreadsheets coming in through, like, nothing. They didn't care. It was just like, thank you, that's neat. And even our customer was like, they changed nothing. It was just, I think that was the most terrifying thing for me, was just this company as big as they were. It's just they had no poos left to give at all.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a real threat actor, that I would have.
Oh my God.
That would have been just a gold mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this goes back to the fix for this is the same as the fix for every other SaaS or third-party breach we talk about, which is if you're using these kinds of products, make sure get a pen test or, even just
Get a
review
letter
your
of
agreements.
attestation from
Yeah.
a reputable company.
Yeah. Like, understand the risk. I guess back in the day, it wasn't really understood how much of a risk this is. But nowadays, I think companies really do understand that your help desk is your front line. Like, EDR and help desk are going to get hit every hour, maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyway.
So
what else we got?
We want to talk about businesses banned from paying ransomware.
Yes, we should. 100%.
Oh God.
So Britain, basically the article is Britain banned most businesses, including all public entities, any publicly funded companies, and I guess other companies like private companies have to go get approval to pay the ransom.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically UK banned paying the ransom. What? Like,
yeah.
Why? I'm very confused, especially ironic because Scattered Spider is a predominantly United Kingdom based ransomware group. So, I mean, they did arrest some people. I don't know. What are your take? Like, John, is this a terrible idea?
We've talked about this a number of times, and like the balance between this is just so painful, right? If you look at it from a high level, it's like, yeah, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't want people to ever negotiate with terrorists. The more we pay the ransom, the more ransomware is going to happen, right? And I get that, right? And that's easy to say from, if you're sitting upon a high castle, right? Oh, well, we don't negotiate and we'll never pay. But the reality of the situation, when your company is hit, right? Like, when you get hit, that's life or death for your business. And that's impacting the lives of all of your employees. It's not that clean, right? And I think it's really easy for people to get into that position if they've never had to deal with that, of actually being a victim associated with this. So I totally understand where they're coming from and what they're trying to do, but I think it's just going to drive the payments underground. And my major concern about this is what's going to happen. Yeah, somebody just said paying may not save you. What's going to happen with forensics firms, right, that are trying to help deal with these situations? How does this impact insurance payouts? If basically insurance companies are like, well, according to the law, we can't pay, where are we headed as soon as we start getting into this? Now, once again, I understand the other side. I totally understand that if we pay out less and less to these things, then the attackers are quote unquote going to just do cybercrime less. And I personally believe that that's a bunch of shit. I think that they're going to get people to pay. It's all going to be under the rug. You're going to have insurance companies that aren't involved. You're not going to have good IR practices in place. You're going to have companies that get hit more than one time. I think it's going to get real ugly, and trying to adhere to some kind of lofty ideal rather than making it more nuanced. So
yes.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Nerf Blaster said, I am sure insurance companies love the idea that it's going to become illegal to pay. And that gets into another point with insurance companies. Insurance companies are basically, there's a number of insurance companies that are literally walking away from cyber cyber policies because they just cannot predict it. They can't charge correctly for it, and they just want to go away and just not have to deal with it. And I wonder how much the insurance companies are behind this. Like, we'll help you get back up and running, but we ain't paying ransomware anymore.
I kind of disagree. I think insurance companies would love nothing more than to pay the ransom. That's the easiest way out of the scenario. Like that, like I think if you're a cyber insurance company and you're approached by someone who has a cyber insurance policy and they're looking at weeks or months of outages and you have to pay their cost of their business lost, you'd rather pay the ransom, get them back up and running next week or tomorrow versus having to spend months recovering servers.
I think logically, yes. But if they can just quickly say, hey, well, we're not going to pay because A, this is illegal, and B, clearly you weren't in compliance with, the core level of computer security standards, But this also gets into
but they still have to pay for the business's loss.
Issues in the United States. This is in the EU. This is in the UK. It's not the EU. The UK is separate from the EU. Never mind. But it's in the UK. But I can see executives at insurance companies, Corey, being like, "Screw them. We just don't want to pay." And they won't pay.
I mean, we'll see how this pans out over time. I think basically my take on this is the companies who are going to find out that this is illegal are going to find out after they get hit by ransomware. There's no company out there that says, well, instead of building a defense against ransomware, we're just going to pay the ransom. Like, that isn't a thing. The companies who are paying the ransoms are the ones who are caught totally flat-footed, and then, they get hit, right? And then they're like, oh, well, we have to pay the ransom because it's our only choice.
Everything.
Well, here's another question, since this is a UK-based law that's going into effect, with so many companies being multinational. I see this affecting more of the small businesses than a company A who has an office in London and then has an office in France and an office in the US and an office out in Shanghai. They're just going to pay from another country where they're not going to go ahead and get affected.
Yeah. Okay. But that still goes into it. I don't think it's that clean, right? It could be that they pay through another country where it's not affected. But if this starts rolling out through insurance companies in the UK and it proves successful, it's going to get rolled out internationally very quickly with other insurance companies. And then it's also possible with this too, that if you have multinational corporations, they may not, I don't know how the law is written. It may be illegal to like pay out through Singapore. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is job security, more job security, everybody. We're not going anywhere. Anybody that's telling you that AI is coming to replace all of us is wrong. But things are not clean yet.
Yeah. I mean, it does it basically forces companies to be secure. It basically forces companies to,
and Corey,
they have no other choice.
Selfishly, it's going to force more companies to get pen tests. Right?
I'm okay.
The problem is the companies that get hit and pay the ransom aren't getting pen tests, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong.
It's going to ratchet up the FUD factor for every other organization.
Yeah, true. You're right. I mean, you're right, but I'm like, I'm not like this. Never like this.
I agree. Not like this.
Not
like this. It's like if we came up with a business model of taking info stealer logs and then giving that to debt collectors. It's like, this would make millions of dollars. An investor in that would have to look at it and be like, not like this. Like, this is wrong. Like, no.
I will say, though, you know what? It's still better to do that as your startup instead of just using it for straight up crime.
It's true.
It's still one tick better than just using it to steal people's crypto wallets.
Oh, no. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
This, Ryan?
So I guess
us?
one of the things I'm taking from this episode is we can't blame Bronwyn. Usually Bronwyn's on the show and she talks about something and I'm like, that's just very dark, Bronwyn. I'm blaming you for bringing the show down. And we managed to get here in the gutter, in the really dark place without Bronwyn. So it's clearly not her, right? So that's kind of disconcerting. Maybe
in other news, we banned FUD.
We did.
We banned it. It's illegal. Can't do it.
I didn't do it. She's still here in spirit. So,
What else we got? We're running close on time. We have probably time for 1, maybe 2 articles, depending on if anyone's got anything spicy.
I don't
We can
have
talk about the
anything spicy.
SharePoint. I mean, the SharePoint thing. I mean,
You want to talk about
basically,
it 'cause you were in the depths of it last week.
yeah,
Continuous pen testing.
I mean,
So
just
go
to
ahead.
follow up a lot. I mean, I got some DMs from some people who were kind of working incidents, and I appreciate it, all those who shared information with me. Basically, it seems like there's multiple POCs out there now that are being used by nation state threat actors. I guess, John, did you follow how the disclosure went at all, like the POC and all that stuff? One of the
POC was
ahead.
released, and I know that we were talking about using it for some continuous pen testing customers, but there's always a little bit of nervousness, like something like this hits, and it's like, here's POC code, and it's like, oh God, that's skeevy.
Well, there was, so basically the researcher didn't really release a full POC. Like, it was kind of like there was some important omissions from the POC that actually probably lessened the impact of this being weaponized. Which I think is people are perceiving that as kind of a good thing. Like, it was kind of like an interesting scenario where the information that was required to make it feel critical and important, worth patching, was there, but then the the actual damaging exploitation data wasn't there. So it's basically, I think the exploit just published a list of all the machine keys, but it didn't really explain how to use them. You know what I mean? So it was kind of partially complete POC, and that was good. I think that was hey, this is a big deal, but also I'm not going to give you the full explanation of how everything works. You're going to have to go that extra. I don't know. It's just an interesting kind of to see how a disclosure like that should go. There's, so many different ways to do it. I think this was done pretty well to, publish it, but also not give the full post-exploitation help and context and all that stuff.
Literally, you just made it a high-level CTF challenge at that point.
Basically. Yeah, correct.
With a couple of hints to get you in the right direction.
Yeah, pretty much, but it's still better than a fully functioning thing that just deletes the whole server or whatever,
One of the things that I kept wrestling with as I was talking to a number of people, they're like, why the hell is anybody running on-prem SharePoint? And it's just legacy organizations that have massive SharePoint installations can't just magically switch to the cloud. And of course, people are like, well, there's tools that do that. It's like, oh God, it's not that easy. It's kind of like the on-prem Exchange thing, right? I can't remember who it was that tried to patch and update an on-prem Exchange server, and they documented the process of how difficult it was to do that. And this is where, once again, I think this ties into the UK thing. It's like, well, we don't pay ransomware. Okay, well, that's an easy sentence to say. That is. Well, you just need to patch your on-prem Exchange servers. That's an easy sentence to say. You just need to migrate all of your SharePoint to the cloud. That's an easy sentence to say. The reality of the situation for all three of those things is it tends to be a lot more difficult than that. So many organizations just don't make that. They don't make that transition as well.
And this is also totally Microsoft's bread and butter. Legacy products that have really specific features that a very specific set of companies need
to exist.
That's how they make their money. That's kind of their whole business model.
Yeah.
Or at least that's their legacy business model. Nowadays, they're more in cloud services and they're in a bunch of different spaces. But back in the day, that was all they had.
Keep said TBF. Our on-prem Exchange has had less downtime than 365. Don't listen to Teep. You need to stop using on-prem Exchange, everybody. So I'm sure that you guys
get chickens. This message was sponsored by, this podcast is sponsored by the Chicken Farmers of America. Got chicken? I don't know. I just made it up.
It probably is. But yeah, we like chickens. You love chickens. Delicious white meat and eggs. There you go. Chickens. I don't know how we got on.
Great job, John. I'll send you that check after.
Yeah, exactly. We're just preparing for the inevitable AI apocalypse where we all need to feed ourselves, and chickens can be useful for that. So go get chickens, everybody. Piss off your neighbors. All right. Later, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye-bye.